Hey, Jay. Thanks for joining. I see Jeff joining. Let me share screen and let me, if you could sign in. You can hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. I don't have any agenda items today, because there's going to be 2 meetings coming up, the supply chain integrity one tomorrow and then the SLSA one. And we need to talk to them about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you all had topics to discuss. If you wanted to discuss, I don't know, strategy for next year, etc. But I personally do not have anything for today.
I didn't have anything on mine.
No, me neither. I was hoping that we'd I mean, the meetings fall when they fall, but we're getting a little long in tooth in the month.
Yep.
Dare I say, like, this is, right around this time is checkout time.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and I was thinking that I would work on something, but again, because we haven't had those meetings yet with the broader team, there's not really much to work on other than that one blog to tweak up, right? So, yeah, I don't have anything in particular. So I guess let me ask you a question, because it could be just me, myself, and I. I feel like I have partly to blame, not been as productive as we could have been given like all the canceled sessions, etc. And given that obviously I don't dedicate a lot of time to this, so trying to get a feel from the group on, how can we improve next year? How can we get more deliverables out? Given the small size of the team, and obviously waiting for the specification to be unleashed, right?
Dare I say a shorter shot? A smaller target with maybe a smaller target with a smaller shark group. I think if we take a lot of the things we want to do and we space them out a little bit, I think I kind of think we went a bit aggressive. Had a couple of do outs at the same time. Also, it doesn't really. I don't know that it hurts either, but I'll say it doesn't help that we have that a lot of what we do here is largely dependent on the variables that happen in the specification team, not necessarily the tooling team, but we don't always know in real time what one hand is doing or how the head is thinking, about how the head is thinking, whether or not the hand that's moving is moving according to the way that the head is thinking. And then here we are supposed to be trying to provide that broader context to the masses, based on trajectory that we don't really understand. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example of it. We're writing a positioning doc at the same time they made a decision to break off source and build. Oh, by the way, they've also broken off provenance now.
Yep.
Right. With that, that's like how are we, like, let's say we got that done fast. it would have been wrong.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks. Yeah, correct. So then the question is, how do we get ahead of that? And I'm guessing it would require either one of the leads, whether it be Mark or Josh, to be more participating in this meeting to help guide us, or there has to be an offline conversation with them.
Yeah. The part that I said, I don't know so the part that will conflict with this, right? It'd be a competing priority thing. Do we tell them to slow down?
No.
Right? I mean, it's like that's a, you know what I mean? Like, hey, hold on a second, let us get that part out before we can do, you know, or do we base what we do on forecasting? Right? So is the way that we position now something that's future state rather than current?
Okay. Thoughts from Jeff and Bruno?
I've got to echo a lot of what Jay said. Obviously, what we do here is dependent on the larger group, but I do think that we we got really excited at the very beginning, and took on tons of stuff. I know I did personally, and then mostly because we all have day jobs. I know I got pulled away from this group for almost 2 months,
Yeah.
just because I was just doing other stuff. So I think we have to recognize what we are, and that we are kind of doing this in our copious amounts of spare time, and make sure that we commit ourselves to less and something that's a little more immediately actionable.
I can't agree more.
So what do you think those smaller objectives look like for next year? Right, we had thoughts on, some blogs, which obviously we are having some headwinds on, because of the variableness of the specification. So what else could we potentially do to help improve the cause, I guess?
It may be something as simple as working on one thing at a time.
Yeah, that's what I meant by a smaller target, right? Like we smaller target with an even smaller shot group, right? One thing at a time, focusing on that, and then yeah, that's a huge plus one for me. I mean, at least that way, and then if we did that, and then like I said focused on future state stuff, right? But if we did that and then made it about a future state, it might be something that we can dig into, and it still has relevance, like a couple of weeks from now, rather than we dig into it and then we look up, and then like, well, we did a whole bunch of work.
Yep.
For almost nothing, you know what I mean?
So the development blog, right, was a smaller target in my view. So how do we make that even smaller?
It's the smaller target, but I think we got we really got our minds twisted when we look back at the spec as it was from when we started it, and to when we were working on it in the middle, and we look back at the spec and we saw the split.
Mm-hmm.
That really, and then when we saw the split, and then the fact that the split didn't take hold across all of the different media outlets, or the different outlets that were the blogs that were being used across the spectrum, then there was confusion. I mean, it seems like I mean, like the head got a little ahead of itself, and that really that really drove away. We asked questions that required answers that weren't really like for instance, right now, we ask questions that require answers that we still have to wait to get. I think you know, having the other SIG leads attend this meeting is key. I mean, we attend theirs,
Yeah.
right? We attend theirs. I mean, them attending this meeting is probably something that needs to occur as well.
Okay.
You know, just or at least a representative, right? Maybe it doesn't have to be the leads. Maybe it could be a representative. Either way, us having being able to ask a question real time, or the whatever the answer might be, or whatever, you know, whatever that variable or parameter is, we're able to address it right then and there, rather than having to go back based on something we see to get something clarified before we can push on.
Yeah. Yeah, and we could potentially even revisit the schedule. I know there were some assumptions made at the beginning when we were figuring out the schedule for this call, that they wanted certain people to be part of this call, but they've only ever attended 2 meetings at the beginning. And so that shifted what actually the majority was. So
Yeah.
potentially we need to revisit also the schedule so that other people could potentially join from the other 6. I know Mike does a good job, and I know he's been on conferences and things like that, and he said he was going to step away for a little while, right? So that's an example of the tooling SIG, right? He holds that. But for the specification, Mike is the closest thing, but he's not necessarily a lead, right? So it'd be good to get Josh or Mark, because they're driving a lot of the background stuff.
Well, so that's what I was going to say too. There have to be somebody that's not that's on the on the, well, I say internal to them, external to us, right? Somebody on the side where some of the conversations are happening off off mic, I guess. You know, they'd have to be privy to a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah, correct. And that's where I think the 2 leads come in for specification at the very least. I know Mark drives a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I know there's other Google employees that also drive a lot of it behind the scenes. And then I know Josh is at the VMware side, and I'm sure he has conversations with Mark all the time. So either one of those, I think, would be more clued in, I think, than the majority, just because of the nature of how they're going about the work, and they're drafting up documents left and right prior to the meeting, you know, after the meeting, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you can think of?
I'd like to, well, I guess we can get this tomorrow, or is it tomorrow that the next meetings are?
It's the
Tomorrow and Thursday?
supply chain integrity is tomorrow, and then the SLSA is on Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to get, so I'll wait for the SLSA meeting, and I may or may not be able to attend that one. I have to be on a flight. I gotta be on a flight at some point during I may be able to get to that one. Let me see. The flight's not until 12, right? So I may be able to attend that one. What I'd like to know is, for us, what are the bolder size items that we want to get accomplished for next year, and maybe we can just as an outlook, take our cues or build some type of a roadmap based on that. Maybe we can get ahead of a few things.
Okay. I don't see an agenda for, but I know they like to cancel the meeting if there's not an agenda before the meeting, which I'm not a fan of. So let me, this is it, right? Supply chain integrity.
Yeah, supply chain integrity working group meeting. I think I want to say they're going to have it because it'll be the last one of the year.
Yeah, but I do know that they've canceled it in the past when there's no agenda items.
Yeah.
So instead of, this is December 14th. Okay. Agenda. Future, or is it the working groups? No, not working groups. What are they called when they're on? So SLSA is a SIG,
Yeah.
but then we are technically a
Sub-SIGs or
SIG too.
I don't know. Sub-SIG, sub working group. I don't know what you call them.
Yeah, future roadmap slash priorities. From supply chain integrity or SLSA. Right. I feel like that's a good agenda item. Because there's also the I think you mentioned this multiple times, Jay, right? The collaboration between the different teams under supply chain integrity, right? And that can't really happen once a month.
Yeah. There's got to be better the communication and crosstalk has got to be a little bit better.
Fresca, or is it Fresca like that?
Fresca, yeah. Well, this should be all capitalized.
Okay, Fresca like that. And then
as a matter of fact, they're just talking about that at the TAC meeting this morning, about better synergy between all of the, between some of these offshoot projects and then what some of the working groups are doing. The working groups say that we're doing all great stuff, but some of the stuff can be blended together, or find ways to mix things, bring things together, or work a little bit more collaboratively across the spectrum of what we do in the OpenSSF, which is that's a must at this point.
Yeah. Approximate time. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be like a can of worms, these two.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of, well, God, dare I say there might be some pushback on some of this. I hope not, but there might be.
Yeah. Yeah, how can you be effective if there's no coordination, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a business. If you're all off doing your own thing, you're never going to get anything done. You have to be aligned at some level with each other. Okay, so I will put that on the agenda for tomorrow. And then I feel like maybe it's the same thing for SLSA too, right?
Yeah.
The same question, SLSA monthly. What is this? Securing critical projects? Okay. Where's the?
Are those two happening at the same time tomorrow? I mean, you can't avoid it. I really feel like, well, because securing, you really can't avoid it. But I feel like sometimes they need to space these damn things out, give people a chance to.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to click on that. Why won't it let me click on it? That's weird. You see what it's doing? If I try to click on it, it scrolls down.
Yeah.
I just want to click on this one link. That's all I want to do. I don't want to edit it. I just want to. Okay, leave. Salsa. Okay, so I'm going to copy these two over here. Future.
Ye-
It's this one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Build. Maybe this should be talked about first. I hate to, go before somebody else in there, right? But I feel like this is gonna take up a lot of time between SLSA SIGs.
Yeah, true. Who cares what they have to say? Oh God, that's funny.
Yeah. And then maybe this is just one since it's not talking about all three groups.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There. Okay, at least we have those two. And then there was this other one. This one. Right?
Yep.
Okay. And then I think those were the only two. I think that was it, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think that was it. Okay, I've at least copied those down for the two meetings. Anything else? Supply chain integrity, also monthly meetings. Okay, if there's nothing else, and I won't keep you all. I don't. Is there a meeting next week? There might be. I don't remember. I think there is Google, because I said I'll be around. Not Google. Google Calendar. There it is. December 18th. Yeah, there is. So depending on what happens, right, might start working on the other stuff. So if you all are here, I'll see you next week. If not, then I'll see you next year. Yeah. Okay. Going once, going twice. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining. And hopefully we can get some answers from the larger community about how to improve next year.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Nava.
Bye.
Thanks. Hey, put my name down here. Where the fuck is it?